creating and saving a query. Let's create a query for the table customers. Currently, if we were to open the table customers, we can see here that the table contains all of the data: the customer's ID, their name, their company name, their contact title, and so on. It might be the case that I only want to see a couple of these fields at the same time, so maybe I'd like to see their contact name, and as I scroll across, I'd like to see their city, and then maybe their phone number. So to gather these together, just the three fields in one table, I can do this by creating a query. So the first thing to do is to ensure that the table is closed down before you do a query on it. Then go to the Create tab, and you'll see here that there's a section called Queries. There are two ways of building a query. You can use the Query Wizard, or you can use the Query Design. We're going to use the Query Design so that anything we do, we have to do ourselves and we'll understand it better. So clicking on Query Design, the first thing it does is it opens up the query window behind with the Show Table box open. So it's asking you to add the table that has the details that you're looking to find. So the Customers table is the table that I need to add, and then I press Close. So here now at the top of the query window, I have the Customers table, and in it is all of the fields that currently are inside of my Customers table. The bottom part of this window is what's going to appear when I run this query. So I want the customer's name, so I'm going to double click on Contact Name, and by double clicking on it, it appears down here. Next to that, I want the city, so I'll double click on the city. And then lastly, I want the field called phone number, so I double click on the phone number field. So now I've brought down the three fields that I'd like to be able to see, and if I run the query, so going up here to the red exclamation mark, this will run the query and show me the answers. So I'm still seeing all of my customers, but I'm just seeing those three fields that I asked it to show. If you want to get back to the Design view, you need to go back to the View tab and down into Design View. Finally then, you need to save the query. So clicking on the Close button, it'll ask you if you'd like to save the query, and I'm going to click Yes. It will then ask you to give the query a name. I'm going to call this Q or Y, and I put Q or Y in front of all of my query names so that I can physically see by looking at the name of the object what it is, and then I'm going to type in city and phone. Now when I press the OK button, it now shows me that query that I've just built, and I can see it here, and when I double click on it, it automatically runs the query each time. To get into the design view of this query, instead of double clicking it to run it, you can right click and go directly into the design view instead. Every time you run the query, it brings up an answer that's valid at that moment in time. So at the moment, this answer is bringing up 91 records. In maybe 3 hours' time, if I've added more people or deleted some customers, you might find when you run this query, you get a different answer. We call that a dyna set because it's a dynamic set of data that changes every time you run the query. So I'm going to close the query again, and I can see the query then in the navigation pane.